I'm Preeti Choudhry. Let me take you through the headlines. Kicha Sudeep to campaign for BJP and not contest elections, says he wants to support Bammai and show his gratitude for him.
I'm here to give my support to my dear uncle and my respected Bammai sir. So I'm here to render my support, sir.
Supreme Court snubs plea by 14 opposition parties alleging misuse of central agencies. Supreme Court tells opposition to cite a specific case because abstract guidelines cannot be laid down in the matter. Telangana BJP chief Bandi Sanjay's late-night dramatic arrest sparks a political row. Bandi Sanjay produced in court in the Telangana paper leak case, named accused number 1. Calcutta High Court pulls up Bengal government for Ram Navami violence, orders central forces for Hanuman Jayanti Yatra if needed. Most explosive interview of former Congress veteran Ghulam Nabi Azad on India Today, says Congress has become inimical to him.
I'm not inimical to them. I'm very friendly to them. I wish Congress party well. I wish Congress leadership very well, physically and politically. But they have become very inimical. I don't know the reason for that.
The late Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh and Samajwadi Party Supremo Mulayam Singh Yadav honoured with Padma Vibhushan posthumously. Akhilesh Yadav received the award. Former US President Donald Trump cries foul after pleading not guilty over hush money charges. Alleges fake case brought up before election, says this is the most bad times in the history of United States.
That's the country in which we live, however, right now. The USA is a mess because our country is going to hell.
Top Focus viewers, just about a week ago, you'd seen 14 parties come together with one single petition helmed by none else but Abhishek Manu Singhvi. It was seen as a moment of opposition parties coming together as one, rallying together, approaching the Supreme Court, saying that they are being hounded by central agencies. Guess what's happened there? A huge setback for the opposition. These 14 political parties, including the Congress, which had moved the Supreme Court citing misuse of central agencies by the court. But the Supreme Court today, when it began the hearing, struck down the plea, claiming that the opposition will need to provide specific instances of targeted investigations by the agencies for them to frame any guidelines at all. Soon after, the opposition withdrew their petition. Abhishek Manu Singhvi in court says that he withdraws the petition on behalf of all these 14 parties. In its argument, the opposition said there has been nearly 95% jump in cases against the opposition party leader since the Modi government came to power. Not just that, it further claimed that mass arrests are a threat to democracy and must be stopped. In its retort, the Supreme Court bench, led by Chief Justice of India, D.Y. Chandrachud, stated that statistics are not enough for it to frame abstract guidelines and that the numbers does exempt the corrupt from facing arrest. The Apex Court further said if there is any effect on the opposition, it must be dealt with the political space and not in court.
भ्रष्टाचार का वैसे भी नेतृत्व कांग्रेस ही कर रही है और भ्रष्टाचारियों का भी। तो दुख तो इस बात का है कि जांच में सहयोग करने की बजाय बहाने बनाकर कोर्ट में मामले को और लटकाने का प्रयास किया जाता है। जिन्होंने भ्रष्टाचार किया है उनके खिलाफ जांच एजेंसियों का अधिकार है जांच करना, उसमें सहयोग करें और भ्रष्टाचारियों के खिलाफ कड़ी कार्रवाई समय रहते हो।
ये वो तरीका ही गलत था। आपको ये अपोजिशन पार्टी से सुप्रीम कोर्ट जाना ही नहीं था। राजनीति पॉलिटिक्स इस तरह नहीं करते। आपने बीजेपी को हैंडल दे दिया अब ये बोलने के लिए कि देखिए हम तो सही काम कर रहे थे, सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने आपकी बात को खारिज कर दिया। राजनीति ऐसा नहीं करते, बीजेपी के खिलाफ ऐसा राजनीति नहीं कर सकते आप, खासतौर से नरेंद्र मोदी जब बीजेपी को लीड कर रहे हैं। वो शुरू से ये फैसला यही नतीजा आने वाला था। भाई आपको कॉन्क्रीट रिजल्ट निकलता ना, वो काम करते आप चले गए। अब सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने तो फैसला दे दिया, बीजेपी को हैंडल मिल गया।
All right, politics aside, what really happened in court today, legally speaking, where Abhishek Manu Singhvi was coerced or forced to withdraw the petition? I want to bring in my colleague Anisha Mathur, who is going to take us through the developments that took place in court today. Anisha, over to you.
Well, Preeti, today it was a short hearing, but a very to-the-point hearing in this matter. The opposition parties, of course, as we've been talking about, they had brought clear statistics to show what has been happening with ED and CBI cases in the last few years. In fact, their allegation is that 95% of all cases by the ED have been against political opposition leaders, and that has a chilling effect on democracy, that has a chilling effect on the opposition in the country. The Supreme Court, however, raising questions about the propriety of the petition itself. The Chief Justice-led bench has asked two very pointed questions. One, how exactly can the court frame guidelines which will create some sort of exception from arrest or easier bail for political leaders, because political leaders are also at the same level legally as citizens of the country and cannot be given any special treatment. Secondly, what the court had questioned is that these statistics that you're bringing us about what you say is deliberate targeting of the opposition, which has a chilling effect, the mass arrests, etc., that the argument it is that you're raising is a political issue and has to be considered at a political level. Can the court really interfere in that matter? So after all of these arguments and questions from the court, Senior Advocate Abhishek Manu Singhvi has said that they are withdrawing the petition. However, in a statement given to the media later, he's also said that we will consider the next steps, because the court also has said that if there are specific allegations where a particular leader can say that they are being targeted because of this political vendetta, then they can bring in their case as a single petitioner, because the court's point was that general guidelines in this way cannot be set up, particularly when the law is the same for everyone in the country. So we'll have to wait and see how this plays out politically as well as legally now. Preeti.
Well, politically, it's a huge handle for the BJP to slam the opposition as well as the government, to take on the opposition. But that's the political space. But what really also came down, Anisha, and I want to ask you to stay back because we're going to move on to our next story. Because if the government today had something to take on the opposition which was said in the Supreme Court pertaining to the 14 political parties that had gone to the Supreme Court over what they said was misuse of central agencies. The Supreme Court today also slammed the government, which the opposition is now going to use when it talks about freedom of speech. The Supreme Court today overturned the ban imposed on a Malayalam news channel and pulled up the centre, slamming it. The Malayalam news channel was taken off air in January 2022 after the Information and Broadcasting Ministry imposed a ban on it and refused to renew its broadcasting license, suggesting it was anti-national. Media One has had several run-ins with the BJP government. The channel also extensively reported on the anti-CAA protest of 2020. Later, it was also accused by the centre of links to Islamic outfit Jamaat-e-Islami. The channel had then approached the Kerala High Court, which upheld the centre's ban in 2023. However, today, the Supreme Court pulled up the centre, slamming it for the ban, and said the voice of the press cannot be muzzled for criticising the government. And doing the same is not an anti-India or anti-establishment move. I repeat, the Supreme Court overturned what the High Court had said and slammed the centre for the ban, saying the voice of the press cannot be muzzled for criticising the government, and doing the same is not an anti-India or an anti-establishment move. The top court also said that national security concerns was raised out of thin air by the INB ministry, and the government could not prove the terror angle in court, which is to link the channel to the terror outfit. So therefore, in this case, embarrassing the central government. I want to bring in Anisha back into the conversation. Anisha, like I said, for the government today. They have something to take away from the Supreme Court in a good way, where they're going to go after the opposition politically and said, pertaining to the petition filed by the 14 political parties. But in this regard of this particular news channel from Kerala, it's taken on the government, saying very clearly that talking against the government doesn't make an outfit anti-establishment or anti-India.
Well, yes, Preeti, and I'm going to quote exactly what the court has said in this particular regard when it comes to the anti-establishment argument of the government. What the court has said is that the restriction on the freedom of the press compels citizens to think along the same tangent, and a homogenized view on issues that range from socio-economic policy to political ideologies would pose a grave danger to democracy. In fact, the court has also said that the use of the terminology anti-establishment itself represents an expectation that the press must support the establishment, and that is not correct. Criticism of government policy can by no means of this, no stretch of the imagination, be brought within the reasonable restrictions under the Article 19(2), which basically court is saying that channel is constitutionally entitled to hold the views and the denying security clearance will have a chilling effect on free speech and press freedom. In fact, they've said that independent press is vital, and a channel cannot be said to be indulging in religious proselytization or anti-India activities simply because they are publishing reports on alleged discrimination against a particular community, nor can you say that they are infringing national security concerns because there is allegation that somebody who is connected to a particular banned organization has bought shares of that particular company. Interestingly, in fact, also, Preeti, one or another major aspect of this judgment has also been with regard to the national security argument and sealed cover reports that are filed by the government before the courts, where the Supreme Court has very clearly said that sealed cover reports violate the basic right of jurisprudence, of access to justice, of principles of natural justice, which means that in every case, the government cannot raise national security concerns and say that we will not give the detailed reports for the person who is accused of something, or for the media house which is being restricted, because in every case, national security concerns are not valid.
Okay.
The court has in fact said that the test of national security concerns has to be done by the court.
Okay.
And even if there are certain confidential reports, etc., at least the court must give reasons for any order that it has passed. Simply saying national security cannot cut it, which basically is going to have a very big impact on this kind of cases. Back to you.
All right. Anisha, thank you for breaking it down there. That's my colleague Anisha reporting on two very separate stories. So bittersweet where the government is concerned. At one end, they can take on the opposition, where the petition of misuse of agencies at the behest of the government is what the opposition had alleged. But on the other, a huge setback for the government, because the court has practically told the government that you cannot ban media organizations because they have spoken against the government. It doesn't make them anti-establishment or anti-India. With that, cutting across right now to what we have our eyes keenly fixed on and getting you the latest, the ringside view or the front row seats to the elections that matter in the next 40 days. Karnataka goes to polls. And what we are going to do is get you the best reportage, the biggest interviews. And in the series of that reportage, one constituency which is going to matter is that of Kolar. Interesting seat. Congress Chief Minister aspirant Siddaramaiah wants to contest from this seat also. He's already contesting from Varuna, but has his eyes on this seat as well. Well, so does the incumbent MLA Srinivas Gowda. Will BJP emerge smiling while others try to settle scores in Kolar? All of that put together in a ground report by my colleague Sagai Raj.
65 kilometers in the east of Bengaluru is Kolar district of Karnataka. Known for its milk production and gold mines, Kolar holds the key to this assembly election. Congress veteran leader and CM aspirant Siddaramaiah wants to contest from this seat.
ನಾನು ಕೊರೋನಾ ಕೋಲಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಲ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ. ನನ್ನ ಹಳ್ಳಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಬರೋದು, ಕೋಲಾರಕ್ಕೆ ಬರೋದು. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಸೊ ನಮ್ಮ ನನ್ನ ಜನ ಹುಟ್ಟಿದ ಊರು, ನಾವು ಹುಟ್ಟಿದ ಊರಿಂದ ನಿಂತ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು. ಎರಡು ಕಡೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ನಿಂತ್ಬೇಕು. ಮತ್ತೆ ಕೋಲಾರ ಜನರು 25 ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂನ್ಸಿಗಳು ಕರೀತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ.
With 2,24,455 voters, Kolar voted for JDS in 2018. But then K. Srinivas Gowda rebelled against his party last year and has indicated his wish to contest from Kolar on Congress ticket. In the last 30 years, Congress had just won this seat only in the 2004 assembly elections when they defeated BJP. Interestingly, the Congress candidate in 2004 was the same Srinivas Gowda before he joined JDS.
I know the mentality of the Congress in my constituency, that is Kolar. So some people may talk in a different line, but I am telling definitely highest majority in the Karnataka you will get in this Kolar.
Congress has been a steady contestant in this seat, but not always the dominant one. In 1999, Kolar voted in favour of Janata Dal United, with Congress a close second. But 5 years later, things changed. And in 2004, BJP opened its account for the first time in Kolar with 28% vote share. Congress had 49%, while JDS got 19%. In 2008, Kolar dismissed BJP with only 4% vote share, and instead, the vote share of independents went up to a whopping 52%, followed by Congress at 36%. 5 years later, in 2013, when Yedurappa left BJP, its vote share in Kolar went down to nil. Instead of the big parties, the vote share of independents in Kolar again was at top with 39%, followed by JDS at 31% and Congress at 25%. During the last assembly elections, JDS got 46% of the vote share, followed by Congress at 22% and BJP at 7%, while others had 25%. Congress is preparing hard this time.
See, observations and opinion of the people, they usually visit the villages and get the opinion of the voters.
JDS has pitched CMR Srinath for Kolar, and he has been working hard to gain ground in Kolar.
JDS is a regional party. I am a candidate. It's announced almost 5 to 6 months back itself. So before Siddaramaiah announced. So I'm fully ready for that election. So whoever may be, in which party, I don't mind, because I'm ready to contest. People are there. People are ready to vote for me. It's a local party. I'm a local in.
But then, the voters of Kolar have the last word.
Already the development has happened. In spite of that additional development, definitely it will happen in Kolar if he is contested and if he becomes Chief Minister of Karnataka.
The opposition call him as an imported leader who doesn't have any kind of local connect with the people. The ground reality shows that a man behind Ahinda politics will have an upper hand in Kolar if he contests. But he is not going to have a cakewalk just like his old constituency, Varuna. With journalist Shivamurthy Segairaj reporting for India Today, Kolar.
All right, viewers, latest news break coming in. There seems to be another superstar alliance axis forming, this time in Telangana. BJP chief JP Nadda meeting Power Star and Janasena party chief Pawan Kalyan. Pawan Kalyan had already met the Prime Minister Modi earlier. There had been a report that the Janasena BJP alliance was on the brink. Pawan Kalyan has had 2 days of hectic consultations with the BJP's top brass, the big star power boost for BJP. Today, it's a superstar axis that they have formed with Sudeep for Bombay, Sumalata, who has already met the Prime Minister in Delhi, and actor Darshan to back the BJP. The latest here, of course, images coming in of Mr. JP Nadda meeting Pawan Kalyan. So this is what it looks, an entire superstar axis emerging for the upcoming 2024 elections, all of it coming together. One of them, of course, will be leveraged with that of Kicha Sudeep and the Chief Minister Bommai, the second image that you see right there. With that, I'm going to go into a quick break. To stay with us. On the other side is our fact check segment. We're right back.
%47% of India's population depends on agriculture for livelihood. 65% of country's population still lives in rural areas. So it's no surprise that nearly half of India's GDP depends on rural economics. And if the latest auto sales figures are anything to go by, the health of rural economy is far from ideal. According to data released by Federation of Automobile Dealers Association, FADA, two-wheeler sales in 2022 and 23 were down 9% from their pre-COVID levels, much in part due to non-performance in rural areas, which remains under inflationary pressure. The financial year, which ended on 31st March, was the first full year without COVID impact. Though two-wheeler retail sales grew 19% versus 2021 and 22, they are still below the pre-COVID years. Passenger vehicle retail sales grew 23%, while commercial vehicle sales zoomed 33%. Tractor sales languished with just an 8% growth, once again displaying the post-pandemic pangs in Bharat. Two-wheelers and tractors are well-accepted barometers of rural economic health, which has faced the brunt of high prices. Inflation has particularly hit consumption in rural India, with not just the auto sector clocking lower sales, but consumer electronics and FMCG products as well. Unseasonal rains have also pressured the rural economy, which was already reeling under migrant labour returning home during the COVID period. What is worrying more for policymakers is the expected El Nino effect, which may hit monsoons this year. Poor rains will hamper rural India's growth potential as well as raise prices of agricultural products. Analysts fear that this could further hit the fortunes of those residing in villages and small towns. Bureau Report, Business Ready Television.
कर्नाटक की सरकार देश में सबसे भ्रष्ट सरकार है।
मोदी जी का जादू हर जगह सर चढ़कर बोलता है।
कर्नाटक की सरकार
40% की सरकार है।
कर्नाटका के लोगों ने संकल्प ले लिया है, मोदी तेरा कमल खिलेगा।
The Congress was in power. Karnataka was in harmony. Congress party is going to win the election.
दुनिया आज भारत की तरफ देख रही है और भारत हमारे कर्नाटका की तरफ देख रहा है।
Welcome back. You're watching our fact check segment where we bust certain claims masquerading to be facts on social media platforms and WhatsApp group. There's a claim suggesting that the cops dragged out boy out of home on Ram Navami. The fact check on that, it's an old video from Hyderabad which is being circulated. So factually incorrect, fake news. With that fact check, time for me to slip into a break. To stay with us on the other sides to the point.
Priyanka Chopra Jonas and her co-star Richard Madden from Citadel hosted an Asia-Pacific press conference in Mumbai. Both the actors made their stylish appearances, while Priyanka made heads turn in a body-hugging golden dress with a plunging neckline and a bow on it. Richard Madden, on the other hand, looked a complete gentleman in his tailored pantsuit and paired it with a classic black t-shirt. As they took several questions during the media interaction, here are some of the key highlights from the evening. Clarification on podcast. Before visiting India, Priyanka's Armchair podcast with Dax Shepard went on air and started a lot of conversations, some uncomfortable ones. However, now she's clarified her stance, saying how she felt confident enough to speak about it.
I think that first of all, when I was on the podcast, I was asked about the journey of my life, and I spoke about, when I was young, when I was 10, when I was 15, when I was 22, when I was 30, 40, whatever. So I was talking about the truth of my journey, and I think now I was confident enough to talk about that phase of my life. I think now where I am, I was okay enough to kind of articulate what I felt. I think I had a very tumultuous relationship with what occurred, but I forgave, I moved on a long time ago, and then I made my peace with it. And I think that's why it was easy for me to talk about it in an open manner, in a safe space.
Non-negotiable. Priyanka Chopra, who has witnessed global recognition for her acting chops, was in no mood to stop when it came to speaking her mind. So when she was asked about one thing that was completely non-negotiable when it came to her professional life, she answered like a boss.
I think for me, what would be non-negotiable now, it's actually really true. I can't work with people I don't like anymore. So it's really non-negotiable for me. I have to admire, look up to, and like the people that I work with, like the people that I'm surrounded with. I've been doing this for a very long time, and I want to be excited about going to work. I want to be inspired about going to work, and that's become non-negotiable for me. So when I meet the people that I'm going to work with, I take notes in a little pad. But that truly is something that, as I've evolved, become very important to me.
IDFC First Bank, always you first.
Welcome, you're watching To The Point. I'm Preeti Choudhry. Late midnight drama in Telangana. High voltage political face-off now building in the state between the BJP and the BRS. The state BJP chief Bandi Sanjay was arrested and produced in court in the alleged SSC paper leak case. The BRS says, forget about anything, this man is number one accused in the case. This action by KCR Sarkar has irked the BJP workers who staged huge protests across the state, calling it a witch hunt vendetta, saying that the BRS is running scared of the Bharatiya Janata Party. KTR hit back at the BJP, calling Bandi dangerous for democracy. Remember, in midst of all of this shenanigans and theatrics, just days ahead of Prime Minister Modi's visit in the state. Here's more.
Late-night political tamasha in Telangana Takkar. State BJP chief Bandi Sanjay dragged out of his house by a Telangana police team. Detained amid dramatic scenes and later arrested in the alleged paper leak case. There was high drama as Bandi and the BJP supporters resisted his arrest. The arrest of the state chief infuriated the BJP, leading its workers to hit the streets, raising slogans, burning effigies. BJP staged a protest outside the police station where Bandi was being held.
So, Bharatiya Janata Party, MPలని, MLAలని, నాయకులని, క్యాడర్ని దబాయించి పెట్టి అక్కడ ప్రభుత్వం నడుపుదామంటే ప్రజలు హర్షించరు. భారతీయ జనతా పార్టీ ఒక్క నిమిషం కూడా స్లో కాదు. ఇది ఏదైతే ఫ్రస్ట్రేషన్ కనబడతా ఉందో కేసీఆర్ది,
it's nothing but complete law enforcement high-handedness at the behest and at the diktat of the state government. The Bharatiya Janata Party has been continuously questioning the state government in Telangana for their massive failures and for their involvement in this